We've got to keep it sustainable because without the prawns, there's nothing else really for it.
A diverse marine environment is important for both the ecological functioning of the system and also for supporting commercial fish stocks.
This project could really lead the way for other fisheries.
As one person, if they make a success of it, other people can also follow, and it's cutting down the work or catches more, other fishermen will generally follow.
It's important that policymakers, scientists and industry work together.
It's got to be something that benefits all parties, that can't ever be one-sided, and I think that's why I'm so excited to be involved in this project.
I'm Peter Clark, a fisherman from North Shields here, 46 years old. Come from a long fishing family. Sixth generation on my dad's side and third generation on my mum's side. We originally started fishing from Cullercoats, which was just a little village just up the coast, before Grandad's moved up in size and boats and came fishing out in North Shields.
I'm Mia. I'm working as a fisheries observer for MarFishEco on this project. I come from the North Islands of Scotland, where Shetland is one of the most important fishing fleets for the entire UK. And working up there in a fisheries research capacity has really made me realise the importance and how valuable it is to have fishing industry collaboration with science, to finding more sustainable solutions to reducing bycatch.
My name's Ben Collier. I'm the project manager of the Northern Ireland Gear Trials project. That project's been running for 8 years now. It's a collaborative project that involves both of our producer organisations here in Northern Ireland. Bycatch is the unintentional capture of any species that isn't the target catch. So in our fishery here we target Nephrops. Bycatch would be fish species that are caught along with prawns. You can think about bycatch as being either juvenile fish species, commercial species with low or no quota attached to them, and also protected species in some cases. So it's important from an ecological point of view to avoid catching. Nephrops live in sandy, muddy environments on the seabed, so the type of gear that's used to catch them would be towed along the bottom of the seabed. So these gear trials matter to scientists because we need to collect good data on the performance of different types of fishing gear and to assess the selectivity of it. It's also important for the fishing industry so that they can meet their conservation objectives, keep fishing, and also work towards gaining certification around things like MSC, for example. We've been running the gear trials on numerous boats. The dual cod end was originally developed in Scotland, so the lower cod end was a standard cod end that you'd find on any other type of gear. And then in the main body of the net you had an incline panel of net which encourages fish to swim up to the upper cod end. That upper cod end's made of a larger size mesh than the bottom cod end, and it's also orientated differently so that it still retains marketable whitefish, but it also gives smaller fish the opportunity to escape. The coverless trawl, the main feature is the headline and foot rope are of equal lengths. So what that means is you lose the overhang of net at the front of the trawl. And the idea there is that fish have more time to escape over the headline as the net approaches them. The second feature to the coverless nets is that we put large mesh in the top sheets of the net, so any fish that don't manage to escape over the headline have a second opportunity to exit the net through the larger mesh. I'm pretty fortunate as a gear technologist to be embedded directly into the industry here in Northern Ireland. So that gives me the opportunity to bounce ideas off fishermen and our local gear makers and get expert advice from them. So that then feeds into the design and implementation of the gear trials that we carry out. Without their help, this type of work would be a lot more difficult.
I've been involved in quite a few of these trials in the past. It all stemmed back to the cod recovery programme, where we needed to get rid of cod out of the nets for our Nephrops fishery. There was a fisherman came up with an idea. He had an idea of a net grid. He'd made it, and there was funding became available. It must be about 12 years ago, maybe it's a little bit longer now. And that was the first trial of a net grid, of actually putting a physical barrier in the net. I was involved in the very first trial for that, and it worked. It got rid of most of the cod, but it also got rid of everyone else: turbots, halibuts, monks, whitings, haddocks, got rid of everything. We still caught the prawns, but we lost that element of the fish, what we kind of rely on as well. But it looked very promising, and again, there's been further trials since, and we'll keep trying to improve the design and improve the selectivity, and we seem to get to a good place and a good balance with it. We've done what best we can. So as the trials have evolved, we've evolved the net, and we've got the added benefit of being able to see things now what we've never been able to see, and it's kind of taken some of the guesswork out of what we've been thinking is happening in the past. We've been able to pin it down, but we've also seen issues that still need resolving, like going forward. So actually having the scientific work behind it backs up what we're saying.
Any gear trials that are aimed at bycatch reduction, it's about collecting data that allows us to compare the performance of an experimental net to the control net. So what we'd do is we would usually charter a fishing boat, go out to the fishing grounds, deploy both nets at the same time, and do side-by-side tows really. We'd then bring the nets back up to the boat and empty each net into the hopper separately. We'd always keep the catch separate between the two nets, and then once we've got it on board, we will ID everything to species level, count and measure it. We'd also take a tally of the prawn catch, which is just as important to ensure that is at least able to catch the same amount of prawns as the experimental net. So we try and run gear trials at different times of the year to assure ourselves that what we see during perhaps the spring is still the case in the autumn. It's also useful to test gear on different boats. Every boat works a bit differently. The more replications we can get of a gear across different vessels, different times of the year, the more credible the data is that we collect. As part of this most recent piece of work that we've been involved with, the Gear Trials Partnership Project, we've been coordinating gear trials between the Irish Sea and the North Sea, and that's been really useful. I think there's a number of benefits that the industry can take from these gear trials. It's probably not a stretch to say that in the near future, we're probably going to see technology such as prawn tailing and stunning machines being installed on fishing boats, and that type of technology will work better if the catch is cleaner. So there's a direct positive for industry, but obviously there's also ecological benefits as well. Part of what we do has to be about protecting the marine environment. You know, if we can encourage a decent uptake of some of these gears, that's going to benefit the marine ecology. So these kind of gear innovations, they'll contribute massively to the marine ecology of the areas where fishing takes place if they're adopted en masse. We're seeing more and more questions directed at industry from the retailers who would purchase a lot of the fish and prawns that are caught. The retailers now have their own sustainability requirements and commitments that they've signed up to, and that's being passed on to the fishermen. Unless fishermen can do something to help meet the goals that retailers have set for themselves, it's going to become increasingly difficult to sell their product into the market. I think these gear trials that we've just come to the end of, they've shown what can be achieved when we work with Nephrops boats that are based in different Nephrops fisheries around the UK. Obviously it's expensive to run trials like this, but you can see that it's not a wasted investment. A lot's been learned from the work we've done. You know, once the final analysis of the data is complete, we hope to get some good hard evidence on the effectiveness of both the dual cod end and the coverless trawl at reducing bycatch.
The knowledge and insights that fishers can provide on these sorts of aspects of trying to find more sustainable solutions is something that really needs to be tapped into, because they've worked the seas for a lot of the times generations, and so they really know the fine scale, intricate discrepancies and catch ratios, and they know the seas best. We're kind of just dipping into that. So wherever you can kind of draw on knowledge from people that have worked the seas for generations is really valuable.
It's important that policymakers, scientists and industry work together, because it's only with the three different groups there that any kind of change is going to come about. The fishing industry realises that it's not easy for policymakers, but equally there needs to be recognition from them. We're working with fishermen's livelihoods here, and there needs to be a bit more support, responsiveness to the needs of the fishing industry. I think fishermen are willing to do things differently if they feel they're being listened to. They're not being asked to do something that will impact their financial viability.